back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television. A reminder of our top stories now. Aggrieved members of the ruling party form new faction called Reformed All Progressives Congress accuse the APC of failing to deliver good governance. Federal lawmakers reject federal government's decision to share recovered $322 million Abacha loot to poor families. French President Emmanuel Macron meets with business community in Lagos, challenges African entrepreneurs to harness potential of youth population. And released video confirms 12 boys and their football coach trapped in a Thailand cave are in good health. ChannelsTV.com has more information for you. And at youtube.com/channelsweb, you can watch our videos. You can also watch us on your mobile device via your browser, or download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows devices from their respective stores. Besides giving you access to news and updates on the go, the Channels TV and Channels 24 app have an eyewitness feature that you can use to share those pictures, videos or news of happenings around you. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the menu and follow the instructions. Well, we're now being joined on the news at 10 by Mr. Jaman Anikolapo. He's a journalist and a cultural communicator. He's currently the executive director of IREP Films Festival. He'll be discussing how Nigeria can diversify its economy through culture and entertainment. I want to thank you so much indeed for coming on the news at 10. First,
thank you very much.
Were you surprised that the French president visited the New African Shrine as part of his visit?
No. Actually, we've not been following trend. You know, Macron is the third president to visit Nigeria and insist on meeting the creative community. Twice we've had the French and the German president. Two German presidents have come in the past. In fact, one came and insisted on meeting Nollywood. He broke from a meeting with businessmen to come to Ozumbambadwe, where the Goethe Institute was then, to meet with filmmakers. Then another one came and said Freedom Park was where he was going to. So Macron, because he's been used to the shrine, said he wanted to be there. But there's a lot of soft messages behind the action.
What will those messages be that you think is trying to pass across to the Nigerian audience?
Yeah, I think he was trying to pass on a message. And I hope our leaders, those who will receive them in that lavish event, really understood what he was trying to say. He was trying to tell us that, look, the world now is about knowledge power. It's soft power now. It's not about commissioning tankers, water tanks and building bridges and roads. And it is soft power that if you invest just a little in education, a little more in education, your young people will take your nation beyond your imagination. I think that's the greatest message that I was trying to pass, and I hope we got it.
Well, we also know that most of the French economy is driven by its culture, its economy. When you look at the winery industry, it has perfumery, also fashion, to just mention a few of them. Do you think that Nigeria can achieve a similar feat?
Of course we can. In fact, I think we're even more blessed than the French nation in terms of the diversity of what we have. Just imagine the brevity of what we have as cultural resources. I'm not even talking about the tourism resources. I'm talking about just the cultural resources. Is it the music? Is it the fashion? Is it film? I was part of a program where we mapped the entire Nigeria just to look at what we have. We had over 67, you call them industries. I mean, fashion, music, and all that. And we took only 3. Those 3 that we took, fashion, music, and movie, was what they used to, you know, when they said they rebased the Nigerian economy. That was what we did. And they said we overshot South African economy by, during the former government. We took 3 out of 67. The document is still there. It's in the hand of federal government. We took only 3 and were able to run past the South African economy. So we have it. We have all these facilities. I just do not know why we're not really interested in them, even though the government have been talking about diversifying the economy. But check, what's the policy?
He's also talked about harnessing youth population for not just Nigeria, but for the African continent. Do you think that the youth in Nigeria see themselves as pioneers to begin that change initiative?
They're already playing that role. Because when you talk about the popularity of Nigeria across the continent, even across the world, I mean, if you look at the contribution that they've been making, is it the startup? The guys who are in the, why would Mark Zuckerberg, why did he come here? It's because he could see what the young people are doing. Look at what they've done with music. You may not like the music. You may say, well, maybe the content is not that. But look at what they've done with music. Look at what they've done with film. Look at what they've done with even literature. We've won virtually all the prizes in literature. So the Nigerian youth are already playing pioneer role. I mean, if you go to Ghana, Gambia, if I travel a lot, I mean, on these cultural programs, and the people that you see, if I've been somewhere where I saw the billboard of Olamide, and I wasn't even into Olamide when I was there. But when I saw the billboard, I had to own up to say, yeah, he's from my town. You know, I mean, that's the kind of thing that the young Nigerians are already doing on the continent that we are not even annexing. It's everywhere, all over the continent. But who is actually actually taking the record? Who is actually recognizing this? So what Macron came to do is to reinforce what the young people have been doing all over the continent, to tell our leaders that, look, I don't need to meet you in the boardroom of any hotel or in State House. I want to meet the young people where they are. And I think it can only come from someone of that orientation, that age, that orientation, that openness that he wanted to display. If I could see the way some Nigerian leaders were, you know, they were I was at the shrine yesterday. They were actually pushing off, you know, and the guy was telling me, no. In fact, one lady was particularly slapped by a very, very prominent Lagos person. And the lady was feeling so bad. And the man was saying, no, leave her. And the lady was able to take selfie. Can you take selfie with any of your governors?
That's a question for another day. We want to thank you so much indeed, Mr. German Anikulapo, a journalist and a cultural communicator. Thank you for talking to us on the News at 10. Nigerians may soon begin to be able to track government income and expenditure after the Federal Executive Council approved the Financial Transparency Policy Guidelines. The policy document is one of the 3 presented by the Minister of Finance at a weekly council meeting. The Ministry of Power, Works and Housing also got approval for the construction of Link Road and associated infrastructure on the second Niger Bridge. Its solid minerals counterpart got 12.7 billion naira for the exploration and consultancy in that sector. Our correspondent Ibrahim Adra reports.
The meeting, held behind closed doors, is presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari, with Vice President Yemi Osinbajo in attendance.
So I think because
at the post-meeting news conference, the Minister of Information and Culture gives explanation about a memo submitted by the Finance Ministry, in which the administration wants to open its books to the public.
With the approval of this memo, it will not be possible for the public to know exactly how much revenue is being collected by government, how much is being spent, just by going on the website of the various ministries, departments and agencies.
The other document is an agreement to exchange financial information.
A memo which was approved and which is actually going to assist in curbing tax evasion and also improve the revenue collection of government.
The second Niger Bridge is to get link roads and associated infrastructure at the cost of 206 billion naira, while a section of the Enugu Road is to be constructed at over 11 billion naira. The council also took a step it says will address the absence of bankable data in the solid mineral sector through an approval for exploration and consultancy.
For companies in the consultancy side of it, and this contract is worth 12.7 billion naira.
In addition to data that will potentially encourage investors in the sector, artisanal miners, who constitute about 80% of active participants in the sector, will be cared for in the new policy. Ibrahim Adra, Channels Television News.
For a second day, the nation's security dominated discussions in the Senate as lawmakers seek a comprehensive review of the nation's basic security infrastructure. This demand is coming a day after lawmakers in both the Senate and the House of Representatives voiced their support for the establishment of state police. Correspondent Linda Akigbe reports.
Two recent reports by separate Senate investigative committees highlight the interagency rivalry and poor communication between security agencies as hindering security operations in the country. A report by Senator Francis Alimihena ad hoc committee in March this year, which investigated the showdown between the EFCC, NIA and DSS during the arrest of the former heads of these agencies, observed that there is acrimony between the chief executive officers of the security agencies. Senator Ahmed Lawan, who presents the report on the National Security Summit, also made a similar observation.
Unhealthy rivalry and competition which currently characterize relations between key security agencies and officers must be eliminated immediately. 4. All the nation's security assets are dangerously stretched by current security challenges. There is the need to increase the size of the Nigeria Police Force, the military and other paramilitary agencies.
The National Security Summit, which held in February this year, brought together heads of security agencies, top government officials and interest groups to find solutions to the multi-headed security problems in the country. Amnesty International recently stated that at least 1,813 people have been killed this year in the farmers' herdsmen clashes, Boko Haram attacks, armed banditry, among others. Lawmakers discuss what is fueling the security crisis and suggest solutions.
The 1988 ECOWAS Protocol of Free Movement by West African countries. We must, as a country and as an assembly, look at that, because even Mr. President has acknowledged that most of the people who are giving us trouble in this country are exploiting this ECOWAS protocol and are coming into this country, invading this country and making this country very restless.
In the year 2020, Nigeria's population will be 210 million. With desertification, with youth unemployment, this is actually a recipe for disaster.
We have never had it this rough before, and we need to put in place the state police that everybody is clamoring for.
At the end of the debate, lawmakers adopted several recommendations, one of which is a comprehensive review of a nation's basic security infrastructure. The upper chamber also asked the federal government to provide low-interest loans to herders to develop ranches in the country. Linda Akibe, Channels Television News.
When the news at 10 returns, leading healthcare product distribution company Pharmacy Plus Limited unveils White House apple cider vinegar. Join us again.